Okay, at this point we have created our first organization. We gave that organization a baseball card to give it a persona. We stood up our first data shelf so that the AI would have access to some of our best-in-class content. And we took our first RFP, parsed that into volumes, and then created those volumes into what is now our first document that we're really going to start writing in. So at this point, I'm going to first show you our 3 power writing tools up here in the top right. So we have a little magic wand, which is our expand tool, the little pen, which is our paraphrase tool, and then the left arrow, which is our concising tool. So let's dive right into it. What I can do here is I will select a piece of content. I'll go up and hit the expand tool in the middle, and the AI will take the contents and semantics of that text that I highlighted and expand it into a much larger section of content. So I can take a sentence, turn it to a paragraph, take a paragraph, turn it into a page. And so I can focus on writing high quality content with relatively sparse language and just focus on putting the best content in. And I can delegate the task to the AI to take that content and expand it into the more verbose and more articulate language that the government needs in their proposals. Now, let's talk about the paraphrase tool, right? If you have multi-user functionality built into the platform, you will often lose the sort of one voice or consistent flow that the government likes to see. And so the paraphrase tool allows you to select a large section of content, hit paraphrase, and it will reformulate that content into a nice, readable, flowing section. And then last but not least, we've all been in the place where we have to get our proposal in under page count. And so the concising tool is built specifically for that. We can select a large piece of content like I have here. We'll hit concise and we'll crush that content down to just the most condensed and concise language possible while maintaining the sense, the real core of what I'm trying to say. And so it delegates those kind of low value copy editing tasks onto the AI. Now, those tools are great for targeted content, right? If I want to build out a section, I can do that very easily with those power writing tools. But for larger section of content, right? If I have, for instance, this staffing plan that I have to write out, what I can do is I can use the chat tool here. And so I can select a section of text, and you'll see down in the bottom right, it passes that text to the chat as context. And then I can give that chat interface an instruction. So let's watch that. Okay, so I'm going to tell the AI that I need a personnel matrix. I've selected a section of content and passed it what I need the personnel matrix for. So it's going to build me out that matrix. And this works for matrices, it works for structured content, text. And so I can very easily pass it a little bit of information and have it provide me with high quality structured content. And because I have deep dive toggled on, that content is informed by all of the proposal content I've either built in the platform or that content that we put there in the data shelf. So if, for instance, you've talked about personnel matrices or approaches for particular things in past proposals, and you ask for an organic piece of content from Rogue Chat, it will index off of that content and create you a contextually accurate bit of text that is contextualized to the proposal you're writing, but is informed by, is underpinned by that legacy content. Now that's great for organic content, but in some cases you want to bring your content in sort of chapter, line, and verse. Maybe you have some best-in-class verbiage for a particular thing that you do. And for that, we have this snippet shelf where I can either add a snippet directly from the writing workflow and reuse it elsewhere in the writing workflow, or I can save content across my proposals and have that best-in-class content at my fingertips at all time in a in-interface document library. So I can drop that content in, I can hit paraphrase or expand and use it and modify it very, very quickly to contextualize it to the writing task that I'm doing today. And last but not least, let's talk about the compliance matrix. So we did the initial compliance matrix generation when we uploaded. We can also add compliance matrix items in the writing workflow. So I can add a compliance matrix item, I can drop in some shall statements, maybe something new that came out in a revision. I can create those matrix items, and that will provide me with a compliance matrix to work off of, which is great, right? There are many tools that create compliance matrices. You can check all the little boxes, but because we have AI built into the platform, we can actually create draft content generated off of those shall statements. And it's not just converting a shall into a will, it's actually creating contextualized content that is also informed by your past content because it's indexing off of your data shelf using Deep Dive. So I can generate a compliant piece of content, drop it directly into the writing interface, and check off that compliance item. And then move to the next one. And because the compliance matrix federates across all of the documents in that war room, when I step out of the management volume and step into the technical volume, all of those check marks and all of those compliance matrix items that I've executed in other documents, I can see that in the same interface. And so I can draw the relevant compliance items into those other documents. So it allows you to work through your compliance much, much faster while also powering your writing tasks. Now, last but not least, we'll show you there's a drop-down tool where you can just hit all of the tools in one interface. This is the little curly Q area. So you can hit expand, concise, keep writing, etc., all in one place. And that's all the power writing tools and all the tools built into the writing interface. There's standard formatting tools, right? You can change all the headings and footings. An important thing that a lot of folks ask is how they export content. So when you're writing in here, all of the content that's written in here is in what's called open markup language, which is compatible with all of the writing, the word processors, whether you're using Microsoft Word, Google Docs, or Apple Writer. You can simply Control A, right? Select all the content on the page, Control C, and then Control P into whatever writing word processor you use. And we do it that way specifically because most companies have their own company internal templates that they use when they're writing a proposal, particularly when there are compliance restrictions around how your templates are set up. You want to keep those templates very consistent. And typically export functions throw all those templates off. So rather than mess with any of that, we just allow you to copy and paste directly in. And because it's an open markup language, it won't mess up any of your formatting.